Watch a movie, get inspired, give back, help a charity. It's time for a Movikarma watch party. Welcome everybody to another Movikarma watch party. My name is Jared Milrad. Movikarma is a place where folks can watch inspiring films and give back in real time and support their favorite charities and independent filmmakers from around the world. Today we're really excited to have a watch party with some special guests, the filmmakers behind In Their Shoes, Unheard Stories of Reentry and Recovery. We celebrated this film as part of our A Show for Change Film Festival, which is our monthly online festival that celebrates social impact films, including documentaries and narrative films from all around the world. So we're going to go ahead and get started and watch a clip of this film, and then about 26 minutes or so, and then in the back end we'll do some Q&A. Welcome, first of all, to the filmmakers, and thanks so much for being part of it today. Cool. Glad to have you. So go ahead and get started with the clip, and then have a Q&A in the back end. Thanks again to the filmmakers for being here today, and thanks to folks who have joined the conversation. You can submit questions to the filmmaking team, to Cheryl, to Stephen and Taylor throughout this conversation, so feel free to do so, and we'll go ahead and post this chat on our social media. Well, first of all, just wanted to say congratulations to all of you for making this project. We were really touched by it and thought it had a lot to say, particularly at not only in general, but the moment that we're in as a country. So I wanted to start off, if each of you could introduce yourselves and tell us just a little bit about your background, your role in the project, and how you came to the story. Why don't we start with Stephen?
All right, thanks. Let me begin by saying thank you for having us. This has been awesome. And I look forward to any of the questions that come our way. So my name's Stephen Crivellaro, and as you saw, I am in the film In Their Shoes, Unheard Stories of Reentry and Recovery. My background, where to begin? So what you guys saw in the film was me coming home from jail and going into a substance abuse treatment program. Prior to that, for about a half a decade, that had been my story. That had been my life. I was in and out of treatment. I was in and out of jail. I had really lost a lot of, motivation and ambition. And then I came into the program that we were at and met Writers Without Margins and really got involved. And about 2-3 months into this process, this journey, there was an opportunity to get involved and tell my story. And I thought it was such a good idea because, people, at least in my experience, people usually form their own opinion of you. And I thought it'd be really interesting to be able to tell my story from my own perspective, from, in my own shoes. And that's what we did. And I jumped on board and I got involved in what was supposed to be a one-time, hour-long interview turned into a 2-year, filming process that spanned, I don't know, a half a dozen interviews just with myself. So it was a really unique experience for me, and one that really redirected my trajectory in life. Since becoming involved with the film, I've went on to do a number of things, including I got really involved with the nonprofit Writers Without Margins. I am their communications manager. I've stayed involved with the film. We've traveled cross country doing screenings and panels, and and since I've been involved with the film, I have not returned to my old way of living. So not to hold anyone captive here, but I thought giving a brief a deeper description of who I am and where I was when this film came about, I thought it would be appropriate. So again, we really appreciate you having us.
Yeah, for sure. So I'd love to dive into all of that. So thanks for giving that background.
Absolutely.
It's really inspiring. Cheryl, I'd love to hear a little bit from you. I mean, obviously you were instrumental in the creation I understand as co-founder of the organization. Love to hear how kind of that came to be a little bit more, and how this film came to you. Did Taylor approach you, or how did this happen?
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. So, you know, the mission of our organization is dedicated to the fusion of art and advocacy. We bring literature beyond conventional spaces, and sort of the reverse order with my professional background, that the advocacy came before the art. My background was actually practicing law, and I was 10 of the 12 years that I was involved with law, I was exclusively focused in representing adult survivors from child molestation cases. And what I recognized in that world was the profound impact that trauma, early childhood trauma, had in people in their adult lives when there was less intervention at an earlier age. So what I tried to do when I got more involved in the arts, or when I found the potential with the arts, was to sort of blend the two possibilities, because I recognized that not necessarily the litigation, but the silence breaking and the solidarity that could come with the litigation or the cases themselves was what was unfolding for a lot of people, and that was being believed and being given. I don't necessarily like the phrase voiceless, because everyone has their voice, but being given the platform to tell their own story. So when I started the nonprofit, we started actually working in homeless shelters and community health centers. And then we started sort of into the area of addiction rehab and mental health. And when we started at the Reentry Center, that was the first time I sort of saw the amalgamation of all these sort of siloed areas in one place. And it was early childhood trauma, it was addiction recovery, it was undiagnosed, often mental health concerns. And what I also saw was every stereotype that I didn't even think I had anymore being broken. I saw people that were incredibly talented, incredibly intelligent, and incredibly creative, not being at the table to have a voice in policy and have a voice in their own direction and their own future. I also saw them being denied housing, being denied education, being denied jobs. So, you know, the fact that Stephen talks about being, you know, sort of stuck in this ongoing cycle, you know, there was less opportunity for him to get out of that than there should have been. So my idea, I had no background in film, to be part of a film was, I found that film and documentary film, I'll give you a really long-winded answer. I have no idea where the punctuation is. The documentary film was the new investigative journalism, because I was finding so much education and public education coming out of the documentary film world. I mean, it's where I was learning about immigration, where I was learning about environment. It's where I was learning about, you know, racial inequity. So that's where I reached out, you know, to Taylor, who was a very close friend of my best friend from LA, and said, you know, how can we create some sort of short videos that can allow people to tell their own stories and allow, you know, public education and public policy to be more informed, because these guys at this place have more to say about this system that can create social change than anyone that I've met, you know, in government or academia. So, or law for that matter, but they belong in the conversation. So it was supposed to be a short project, but then we realized that we were irresponsible if we didn't continue to let the story unfold. So I can probably say nothing else if you want to just talk to everyone else. That's my involvement.
Lots more questions for you. So I think thanks for that background, that overview, and I think your experience in both law and the arts and writing and advocacy is really interesting. Taylor, can you tell us a little bit? Cheryl gave us a little bit of an intro into how this project came to you, but I'd love to hear more about that. And I saw you have yourself kind of a blended background, I think, as an actor and working on crews of various projects, including larger scale projects. So I'm wondering how this project sort of fit into that, or if it was a change in direction a little bit for you as a filmmaker.
Well, like you said, I do a lot of everything. And I think this was one of those stories you hear all the time in film where it was just sort of you know someone who knows someone, and you have to stay ready. So as Cheryl mentioned, her best friend from LA is Natalia Livingston, and she's a very talented actress and a coach and a producer and all sorts of things. And she, at the time, was sort of my main mentor here in the Atlanta film scene. And I began working for her as a teacher's assistant at the acting studio. So anyway, when her friend Cheryl approached her about how do we do some videos for these guys, there's some amazing stuff going on in these workshops, Natalia came to me, thank goodness, lucky for me. And then I guess, really I'm just the crazy film guy that came in. And when Cheryl wanted videos for the website or whatever, I was like, wait a minute, maybe this could be a documentary short or something. I thought there's some potential for film festivals at that point, I thought maybe a 15-minute video, because as she said, it was a one-time, and Stephen mentioned it's supposed to be a one-off thing. And then Cheryl's so great at what she does that she picked up film producing on the fly, and she scheduled 10 days of crazy interviews and with Congressman Kennedy and all these guys. And so that first 10 days went so well that, as they mentioned, that looked so great, it was silly of us not to continue. So, things kind of picked up from there with fundraising, and we were off to what turned into a year and a half, 2 years of work.